In this video tutorial, we're going to be seeing how to manage field visibility in Java. Now, what I mean by that is you've probably noticed by now that when we create a class, a variable, or a method, for example, we tend to have the word public in front of it. Now, public is what is known as a visibility level modifier. So, visibility level modifiers determine whether other classes can use a particular field or invoke a particular method. So there are two levels of visibility control. At the top level, we have public or package private. So a class may be declared with the public modifier, in which case that class is visible to all classes everywhere. If a class has no modifier, which is also known as the default modifier or package private, it's only visible within its package. So packages are named groups of related classes. We'll see precisely what they are in future videos, so don't worry about that. Now moving on to the member level, and by member all I mean is the contents of a class. So for example, a variable is a member, a method is a member. So in the member level we have public, private, protected, or the default package private. So as you can see, there are two additional visibility modifiers here, private and protected. The private modifier specifies that the member can only be accessed in its own class. The protected modifier specifies that the member can only be accessed within its own package, and in addition by a subclass of its class in another package. So the following table here shows the visibility to members permitted by each modifier. So for example, in the first column here, the first column indicates whether the class itself has access to the member defined by the visibility level, so by the modifier here. So as you can see, a class always has access to its own members. The second column indicates whether classes in the same package as the class have access to the member. The third column indicates whether subclasses of the class have access to the member. And then in the fourth column here, it indicates whether all classes, otherwise known as world, have access to the member. So that's the theory behind visibility level modifiers. In the next step, we're going to apply that theory to a practical example in Eclipse. So let's take a look now at the modifiers in our class dog here. So as you can see, our class dog is a public class. So as I said before, that means it can be accessed by all of the other classes in your program. We then have our fields here, which don't have a modifier in front of them, so which means they take on the default modifier, also known as package private. And then we have our two constructors, which are public here. So just for an example, let's say in our main program, our main class, we wanted to create an object dog using the default constructor, and then we wanted to display the value or its name, should I say. So its name would be here, so unknown, and that value name is assigned to this field name dog. And the field name dog, which is here, remember, has the default modifier. So let's see if we can display that value. And we'll do the same principle for the other constructor also. It's not going to hurt anyone to try and do that. So let's do that now. So as you can see, we already have the instructions to create the objects, the dog objects, using the corresponding constructors. So for the first constructor, we're going to type this out. So we want the object dog one, and we want to display, so dot, and the name of the field, which is name dog. Yeah, like so. Then, as I said, the same principle for the second constructor. In this case, we've named the dog Wilbur, so that's the result that we should get if it works. So system.out.println the object .2 in this case, and then name dog, like so. So let's run the program and see if it will display these values, and as you can see it does without any problem. So what happens now if I go back to my dog class and I put the private modifier for the fields, which you should do in any case, because as I'm going to explain to you now briefly, there's a written rule in Java, also known as encapsulation, which is the technique of making the fields in a class private and providing access to the fields via public methods. So it's a rule that you should make all of your fields private, just so people using your program can't tamper with the fields. So let's do that now. Let's make these fields private. So remember, it's an important notion, encapsulation. We'll see more about it in more detail in future videos. So now our fields are private. Let's go back to our main program, and as you can see we get errors. And if we look closely at the errors, it says that the field name dog is not visible. And that's because it's private. So it's the same principle with the methods or constructors. We can make them private also. And as you can see, if we go back to our main program, again, it'll say the constructor here, the constructor dog, while default constructor is not visible. That's because it's private. So that's how you manage field and method visibility in Java. Now there is a point to all of this. In the next couple of videos, we're going to be seeing what accessors and mutators are. And to be able to do that, we need to learn, or we need to know about field visibility.